Elon Musk lives in plain sight. His companies are dissected, his decisions debated, his movements speculated on in real time. Yet the most critical parts of his life are designed to leave no footprint at all. This isn't about money or status. It's about something far rarer: control over exposure. How do you move a family when being seen is the risk? How do you exist when every predictable pattern becomes a liability? What you're about to see isn't public behavior. It's the infrastructure behind disappearance. Systems built to erase routines, scramble signals, and make movement unreadable. Because at this level of visibility, safety isn't reactive, it's premeditated. Before this video ends, ask yourself one thing: if true power meant choosing when the world can see you, and when it can't, would you take that control? If you believe real luxury is privacy, comment control below. And subscribe to Zenith, because once you understand how this world operates, you don't look at wealth the same way again. For the Musk family, daily life isn't casual. It's treated like a high-risk operation, with global attention, constant surveillance, and multiple households across regions. Every movement matters. Each child isn't just family. They're a potential vulnerability in a system that never stops watching. Privacy isn't a preference here. It's survival. Predictability is the enemy. Fixed routines create exposure. Repeated routes create patterns. Visibility creates risk. So protection begins long before a vehicle moves or a flight is booked. Timelines shift. Paths change. Presence is minimized. The objective is simple: move without signaling. This is where the billionaire lifestyle reveals its real truth. Wealth doesn't guarantee safety. It funds systems designed to prevent danger before it exists. And when the stakes involve the people closest to you, there is no room for compromise. So ask yourself this: if staying invisible was the only way to protect your family, how far would you be willing to go? What comes next changes how you see power entirely. Private jets. For the Musk family, flying isn't a luxury upgrade, it's a control mechanism. When your name is tracked, analyzed, and monetized worldwide, commercial aviation becomes a liability. Public terminals create records. Passenger manifests create exposure. Fixed schedules create patterns. And patterns create risk. So the goal isn't comfort. The goal is removing dependence on any system that doesn't answer to you. That's why private aviation becomes infrastructure, not indulgence. Musk's approach to air travel is built around redundancy and autonomy. Long-range Gulfstream jets eliminate stopovers entirely, allowing intercontinental movement in a single stretch. No transfers, no lounges, no public choke points. Multiple aircraft ensure that a delay, a mechanical issue, or an external disruption never forces a fallback into commercial systems. Every variable, timing, route, departure window, stays flexible until the last possible moment. But the real advantage isn't inside the cabin, it's everything surrounding the flight. Private terminals replace crowded airports. Smaller, controlled airfields replace global hubs. Aircraft ownership is layered through corporate structures, separating identity from movement. To observers, these flights don't signal power. They disappear into the background noise of global aviation. Quiet by design, ordinary on radar, difficult to follow with certainty. This is how billionaire life reframes the sky, not as a status symbol, but as a buffer zone. Airspace becomes the first layer of protection, where exposure is minimized before a vehicle ever touches the ground. Control of altitude becomes control of timing. Control of timing becomes control of risk. And that's the real shift. Wealth doesn't guarantee privacy. Systems do. When movement itself becomes a vulnerability, owning the means of travel isn't optional. It's foundational. So if true privacy required removing chance from the equation, would you trust public systems? Or would you take ownership of the sky itself? And once the doors close and the aircraft climbs, what happens next reveals even more about how power actually operates. The real power of a private jet has nothing to do with speed. It has everything to do with control. Once the cabin door closes, the outside world stops having access. Noise disappears. Time stabilizes. The chaos that exists on the ground never makes it inside. Every element of the aircraft is engineered to remove friction. Temperature doesn't fluctuate. Lighting isn't decorative. It's calibrated to reduce fatigue. Sound insulation is layered until engines fade into nothing. This isn't luxury for comfort's sake. It's an environment designed to protect attention. When distractions vanish, thinking sharpens. Stress stays outside. At altitude, the jet becomes a sealed ecosystem. It doesn't matter whether the destination is across the country or across the ocean. The internal rhythm stays the same. Work continues uninterrupted. Family routines don't break. Children sleep on schedule. Conversations happen without fear of being overheard. Decisions are made without external pressure leaking in. Nothing inside is accidental. Nothing is left exposed. Communication systems are secure. Data stays contained. Privacy isn't negotiated with the world. It's enforced by design. That's the real distinction of billionaire life at this level. Luxury isn't about adding more. It's about subtracting everything unnecessary. When variables are eliminated, time becomes usable again. Focus becomes currency. And once you realize control doesn't stop at the runway, the question shifts. If you could remove anything that interferes with your life, what would it be? Because when control starts inside the cabin, it rarely stays there, disappearing from the radar. What if real security didn't come from moving faster, but from becoming impossible to follow? For families with global visibility, danger isn't proximity, it's predictability. Public flight paths, fixed aircraft, and consistent timing turn movement into data, and data can be traced. The response isn't speed, it's disruption. Instead of relying on a single aircraft or routine, movements are intentionally fractured. Departure times shift, aircraft rotate, routes change without pattern. Sometimes a privately owned jet is used. Other times, a chartered aircraft enters the mix, breaking continuity. Each decision removes another thread an outsider could pull. Ownership structures add distance. Aircraft are registered through layered corporate entities, separating identity from movement. To external observers, flights no longer point to a person. They look like noise. Ordinary takeoffs, ordinary landings. Nothing to connect, nothing to follow. Even the regulatory landscape has shifted in favor of discretion. What once allowed near real-time tracking has gradually blurred, turning private aviation into a fragmented signal instead of a readable map. The result is a parallel travel system operating alongside commercial aviation, but never intersecting with it. No public schedules, no consistent trails, just controlled movement when needed. At this level, privacy isn't about hiding, it's about designing a system where observation loses meaning. And when anonymity requires rewriting the rules rather than breaking them, the question becomes simple. Would you adapt or accept being visible forever? Before a private jet ever leaves the runway, the real strategy has already begun. For billionaires, the most exposed moments aren't in the air, they're on the ground. Every transition, every mile, every pause creates risk. That's why movement at street level is treated less like transportation and more like risk management. Routes are never static. Timing is intentionally irregular. Vehicles don't operate in isolation, and no journey follows the same pattern twice. The goal isn't speed, it's uncertainty. When predictability disappears, tracking becomes useless. Each movement is designed to reveal as little information as possible, even to those watching closely. Modern convoys operate as adaptive systems. Vehicles are equipped with live data feeds that adjust routes in real time, responding instantly to changes in traffic, environment, or exposure. Multiple cars shift positions, separate, and reconnect, ensuring that no single vehicle becomes a focal point. What looks ordinary from the outside is actually a coordinated sequence where every second is calculated. The most vulnerable moments, stepping outside, entering a vehicle, arriving at a terminal, receive the highest level of control. These transitions are treated as critical phases, managed with the same precision as flight paths and airspace clearance. Nothing is casual, nothing is left to chance. But this strategy doesn't end with today's roads. The future points towards something more radical. Private underground routes, isolated from public infrastructure, are already being explored as a way to remove visibility altogether. No traffic, no observers, no exposure. Movement without presence. If safety meant redesigning how journeys exist, not just where they go, would you rely on the road or abandon it entirely? And if the surface world becomes the weakest link, what does true privacy look like when the journey continues below it? Most billionaires measure freedom by what they own. Elon Musk measures it by what he avoids owning. And nothing exposes that difference more clearly than the one luxury he's never bought: a yacht. For men at Musk's level, permanent assets create permanent signals. A yacht isn't just a vessel, it's a floating database. Crews, ports, maintenance logs, docking schedules. Every mile leaves a trace. Every stop creates a record. Ownership turns escape into a pattern, and patterns invite attention. For someone who treats privacy as a non-negotiable, that's a liability. Instead, access replaces possession. Chartering offers a different kind of freedom. A vessel appears when needed, operates off flexible routes, then vanishes without attachment. No long-term cruise, no predictable harbors, no identifiable asset for observers to follow. One trip might be a quiet family retreat, another a mobile meeting space far from land-based surveillance. When the journey ends, the trail ends with it. This approach reveals a deeper rule of Musk's lifestyle. Control comes from mobility, not accumulation. The more permanent an asset becomes, the harder it is to move without being seen. By refusing ownership, exposure stays low and options stay open. The escape exists only for the moment it's needed, and nowhere else. In a world where status is measured by what you anchor, Musk chooses what he can lift and leave behind. And when the horizon clears and the vessel slips back into anonymity, the question isn't where it went, it's whether anyone ever knew it was there at all. Most people think extreme wealth is about buying things. What you've just uncovered shows the opposite. At the highest level, money is used to remove friction, erase exposure, and design freedom on demand. Travel becomes infrastructure, privacy becomes a system, and movement becomes a form of leverage. For families living under constant attention, safety isn't reactive, it's engineered. Every route, every transition, every choice is made long before the moment arrives. Not to impress, not to escape, but to stay in control without ever being seen. So here's the real question. If you had the ability to disappear when you wanted, not to run, but to protect what matters, would you use it? If you want more stories like this, where power operates quietly and the real rules are never advertised, subscribe to Zenith. This world doesn't reveal itself twice, and the next chapter goes even deeper.